Ford Motor Company is delaying production of electric vehicles at its Oakville plant by 2 years. The auto manufacturing giant making the announcement today, which will impact thousands of workers. Dale Manucdoc joins us live. So, Dale, what is behind this announced delay?
Yeah, Dwight, there are Ford Motor employees that are facing potential layoffs with the weight of a transitioning industry on their shoulders. The plant currently produces the Ford Edge model, but that will stop at the end of the month. That means that plant will not be producing any vehicles for roughly 3 years. Ford's Oakville plant was supposed to start production of 3-row electric vehicles next year. Instead, the company announcing that it's pushing back the start date until 2027. That decision impacting some 3,200 workers.
Our members were excited to be part of this EV transition. They've had a commitment made to them, promises have been made, and we expect Ford Motor Company to live up to that.
The union's national president met with Ford executives in Michigan on Tuesday when she first learned of the delay. The news coming just before work to overhaul the plant, which will cost $1.8 billion, is set to begin. The construction is still on schedule.
Based on the time frame of the retooling that we knew at that point in time, we negotiated EV supports for our members, upwards of 70% of their pay.
That deal was for 8 months of support, not 3 years. Ford says the delayed production will allow for the consumer market for 3-row EVs to further develop and enable Ford to take advantage of emerging battery technology. In a statement, Ford Canada's CEO says, "We are committed to taking care of our valued Oakville employees through this transition. While this change requires a revision to the timeline, it will support a viable and growing future for our company, employees, and dealers." The shift drawing reaction from the provincial and federal governments, each of whom have heavily invested in supporting the EV market.
Our vision was to make sure that the Oakville plant would be the first in line to go from the combustion engine to the electric engine. We wanted to be first in North America to produce them. That was the vision. That's why we invested to retool, and we wanted that period between the old vehicle and the new one to be as short as possible.
Specifically, the feds and Ontario each put up $295 million back in 2020 to secure the Oakville plant investment.
I'm going to try to push forward as hard as I can to not wait 3 years to retool. We need to retool as quickly as possible, get workers back to work, or they're going to end up losing the workers.
So, Dwight, the federal and provincial governments on the same page here. They both say that they'll try to get Ford Motors to shrink their new timeline, and they both say they'll work with Unifor to support its members. As for Unifor, there is a clause in the bargaining from last year that allows them to reopen negotiations with Ford Motors if there was a delay in the timeline. So they've exercised that clause. They're waiting for them to come back to the table, hoping to mitigate any looming impacts to its members.